Well, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the definitive review for Overwatch. If you watch my board game reviews, you know I like to talk about whether or not certain people should actually purchase a game, just not whether or not I like it. And here's the deal. There are some people who feel this game is overhyped, overpriced, and underwhelming. They say that because there are some basic play modes. You play against other players as teams. There's special weekly modes that vary up the rules. You can play against AI, kind of like training dummy bots, or with other players against AI heroes, and then do some custom games and things like that. Right now, they're really, and there is no single player. There is going to be a rank mode eventually, but it isn't in the game. So some people are saying this gets kind of boring, just playing against other players. And if you're playing against heroes that maybe you have difficulty with beating, like for example Bastion, or you're just on a team that isn't working together and is going after, like playing a deathmatch instead of going after your objectives, the game can get kind of annoying and people might feel like it gets kind of old. So potentially people feeling like heroes are overpowered, maybe the game is overpriced. There's other games that do somewhat similar things that are free-to-play games, and some people don't like the system where you get these loot boxes. So when you level up, there is no sense of progression as far as getting new items or leveling up heroes or getting new heroes. When you get the game, you have everything right away, but then there's just going to be things like skins or a lot of other things, sprays, voice lines, emotes, and things like that. So, I mean, it's something that a lot of people say just, isn't really worth it. And with some other free-to-play games that people really enjoy, I could possibly see that. I'm actually not going to tell you any of those things are inherently wrong. I, however, really like the game. So some people even argue that the game is oversimplified. So you might look at a hero, and, a lot of heroes basically have an ultimate ability and then two other abilities. Sometimes they have a movement ability, sometimes they have an alternate fire, things like that. But they also think the game is oversimplified, which is another reason why they may get bored of it soon. However, I really, really like this game, and I'm here to help you decide whether or not you're going to be a person who is going to be underwhelmed by it or really enjoy it. So let's talk about some of the reasons why I think those negative criticisms aren't necessarily true for me. You could argue the game has only two game modes, kind of point capture and moving the payload, and, that wouldn't necessarily be wrong. There's variation in the point capture. Sometimes you're defending it, sometimes it's King of the Hill where both teams are going after it, and there is some mixing up where you have to capture a point and then move a payload, but that's really all there is. And then the 12 different maps, which I think is a decent number, but some people between the play modes, the price and all that, say, hey, it's not worth it. But I really think this game is fun, and some of those potential negatives are actually there for a reason, so let's talk about that. So first things first, let's talk about the polish of the game. And this being a Blizzard game, you can expect there to be a lot of polish. Now, whether or not you like the graphical style of the game is going to be up to you. It is cartoony, it is colorful, it's something that I really appreciate in a bunch of grim, dark military shooters out there. So I really like it, but, it is very well done. Whether or not you like the style, that's going to be up to you. The sound quality, however, is something I want to talk about. I actually watched another video on just how thoughtful the sound is in this game. So heroes shout out different things depending on if they're doing an ultimate for your team and the other team. Whatever is probably going to be most dangerous to you is prioritized. Each player has different footsteps, and like I said, different things are amplified or brought down in the audio mix based on what's going on. It's one of those things you may not notice or think about while you're playing, but it is a very big positive, and if it wasn't there, then it would probably be pretty muddled. And overall, the sound and video quality is really nice, and the game runs pretty smoothly. I have had a few connectivity issues here or there getting dropped out of the game, but nothing too drastic. The first few minutes when the game launched, it had an issue, but after that, I've only had a few issues here and there, and I've usually been able to get right back on. So let's talk about some potential positives or potential negatives depending on how you think about the game. This is a very, very teamwork-based game. This isn't about you getting the most deaths. This is, the most kills and the least deaths. This is about moving the objectives. Here we're trying to push the payload. We're trying to be near this thing here that's kind of on the left side of the screen, and we want to get it to the end. We see the thing at the top telling us how close we are. And you have to work together as a team to do that. If you trickle in one-on-one, things are, one by one, things are going to go very badly. If you're just chasing down enemies and getting kills, things are not going to go very well, and you have to use the right heroes in order to do that, as well as swapping up based on what's going on in the game. So here I'm playing one of the support classes, a healer, Mercy, and I do want to say, so there's like attack, defense, support, and tanks, and I do think playing healers are fun. And one of the things about this game is that each hero does play very differently from each other, which is going to lead some people into some issues. So when you are playing, because it is a cooperative game with so many different heroes you have to swap in and out for, some people may not like playing solo. If you have a group of friends, even a couple of friends you're working together, not a full team, it can still be really fun communicating with each other, figuring out who's going to play what. When you are playing on a team with other random players, as single player, as I've pretty much played all of the stuff that I've played so far. By the way, if anyone wants to, get on a PC, has a Blizzard account, and wants to team up with me, that'd be great. But when you're playing by yourself, it can be a little tricky. You can have teammates that aren't playing well. You can have teammates that are being nasty who think you're not playing well, whatever the case may be. There is still some nastiness in the online component of the game, as you would expect in any game. So as a single player, you may not like that, and in the difficulty of finding a sense of community, although I do play single player and still really enjoy it, and I like that the gameplay of the game is focused on teamwork and not just an individual kill-death ratio. Some people may not like the ease of play. Like I was talking about before, each hero tends to have 2 abilities, and maybe some movement abilities or secondary shots or things like that, but in general, this is kind of toned down from some other online games or some other MOBAs. This is not a MOBA, it is a hero shooter, a new emerging genre, but it may be too simple for some people, but it's something that I actually really enjoy because, well, it's one thing. I was actually playing with my son who's 10 a little bit. We were playing in the online mode where you were playing with other players against the AI, and that chat was really friendly, I do have to say, and it was really great. And I was with him while he was doing it, but it was, I was watching the chat and things were going really well and people were helping each other, and you do see that sometimes in the online competitive as well, sometimes. But that ease of play allows, I think, younger players in order to play the game, and whilst you might think the game isn't complex enough and there's enough for you to enjoy, the thing about this game is it goes for complexity in the game itself. The meta changes as you play the game. So as you're going around changing heroes and whatever, and then the enemies are countering you, the best games are the games where people are reacting to what's going on. And the complexities of that, knowing what heroes are pretty good counters against other heroes, what areas of the map certain heroes are going to work for, maybe even changing your hero, even though you're doing well because you're in an area of the map now later in the game where another hero is going to be more effective. That's where the complexity really comes from. So while it is an easy game to play, when you really want to learn the maps and learn the nuances, there is a good deal of complexity there. So that's basically what I think about the game. I think that there is actually a lot of complexity, but it's not in, the moment to moment, it's not the actions per second. Yes, if you're a good shooter, then you're going to, enjoy playing maybe a sniper or something like that, or classes where accuracy is really important. But if you're not, you can play Junkrat, who throws these things and, have a small area of effect when their bombs explode. You can play other heroes where you don't even really need to aim all that much, Winston or whatever. And while learning what heroes are useful for which sections, trying to get teams to play together as one and not be nasty with each other, it can be difficult. But when you're on a good team that works together and you have that close game where the enemy team is swapping out against you and you're swapping out against them, people are communicating over chat or the mic, tracers behind us or whatever, and you have that, this game is one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. When you have, 3 people on your team trying to play snipers, when you're trying to push the payload, nobody's working together, and you just don't know what to do and you're getting crushed, it can be kind of disappointing, especially when your team is then nasty afterwards. And the biggest thing I run into is people saying, oh, my team was so bad, oh, my team was so bad. Just stop it. This game was meant to be fun, and if you think you can have fun with this game, then I think you should get it. If you really want to play hyper-competitive, I do think that scene is going to be there. There is going to be a rank mode that's coming eventually, but I will say one of the reasons I love this game is because it doesn't have a ridiculous number of abilities, because you actually can learn what to do surprisingly quick, and I do suggest playing against AI bots and playing with other opponents against AI. The easy is super easy, the medium is still really easy, and the hard, it actually has some difficulty to it. I suggest playing those, learning the game, and if you can find other friends to play the game with, and you guys can have fun, and you're not super competitive, then great. If you are super competitive, rank mode is coming, you may actually really enjoy that. But if you are just looking to have fun, even on your own, I can enjoy this game as somebody going into the single player queue. You have to accept that there's going to be some people not being very nice on occasion. You have to accept that there are going to be some games where you're just going to get trounced. You have to accept that there's going to be some games where people aren't working together. But if you are somebody who's going to play mostly single player on whatever system you're playing on, then there are also going to be these moments when you start learning the game, start learning who to go to, when you have these great plays, where you have these great moments. And I personally think the game is just flat out fun. Now that seems like, not necessarily the best critique, but I think the combination of the lighter graphic style, the less difficulty in as far as learning the complexities of each character, and the team-based focus combines to really make a game that some of them are just going to be amazing. And I've had a lot of great moments playing this game, and they've more than outweighed by far the little moments where I haven't enjoyed it because of other players being nasty or not working together, whatever the case may be. And if that's something that appeals to you, then I can highly recommend this game because, well, it's just plain fun. So there you go. Overwatch is a game that maybe tones down some things, makes it a little bit lighter, and still has complexity within the game itself if you want to get there. And if that's something that you think sounds fun, then check it out. And if you play on PC, then come play with me. Alright, talk to you later.